Hello, dear friends. Today we are going to discuss a very urgent question of reduction. And I'm going to tell you some interesting points concerning this phenomenon, typical of all languages. Well, what is reduction? Vowel reduction is the main type of sound modification characterizing vowels. It is reduction and elision. Reduction is the weakening of vowels in unstressed positions, determined by the position of a vowel sound, the stress structure of a word, or the tempo of speech. This type of vowel modification may be qualitative, quantitative, or both. Let's talk about quantitative changes. Quantitative reduction is the decrease of vowel quantity when its length is shortened under the influence of the following factors. Word stress. Vowels in unstressed positions are usually shorter. For example, is he or she to blame? Compare. At last he has come. The second factor is the position of a vowel in a word. The positional length of English vowels is the longest in the end, shorter before a voiced consonant, and the shortest before a voiceless consonant. For example, he, he'll, hit. Quantitative reduction is the loss of vowel quality. For example, color, which generally results in the following changes. Reduction of the vowels of full value to the neutral sound or schwa in unstressed positions. For example, analyze, analysis. Slight nasalization of vowels preceded or followed by nasal sonorants. N, m, no, my, can, come. Vowel elision or zero reduction is the complete omission of the unstressed vowel, which is realized in connected English speech under the influence of tempo, rhythm, and style of speech. It usually occurs in notional words within a sequence of unstressed syllables. For example, history, territory. In notional words within unstressed syllables, for example, preceding the stressed ones, correct, correct, suppose, suppose. In unstressed form words with a phrase, for example, has he done it, has he done it, has he done it, has done it. Now, it is important to know that vowel reduction is the term in phonetics that refers to various changes in the acoustic quality of vowels, which are related to changes in stress, sonority, duration, loudness, articulation, or position in the word, and which are perceived as weakening. In most often cases, it makes the vowel shorter as well. In phonology, however, vowel reduction refers to reduction of the number of distinct vowels rather than their quality, either over time or when comparing related dialects. In some cases, these two concepts may be related. For example, when vowels are phonetically reduced in English, there is also a reduction in the number of vowel contrasts. In other cases, however, phonemic reduction is due to historical vowel mergers, such as the merger of the a vowels in marry, marry, marry in much of the United States, and has nothing to do with the weakening of vowel sounds. Weakening of vowels is found in the following cases. Phonetic reduction most often involves a contralization of the vowels, that is, a reduction in the amount of movement of the tongue in pronouncing the vowel sound, as with the characteristic change of many unstressed vowels at the ends of English words to something approaching the so-called schwa sound. A well-researched type of reduction is that of the neutralization of acoustic distinction in unstressed vowels, which occurs in many languages. The most common reduced vowel is the schwa sound, whereas full vowels are distinguished by height, backness, and loudness. Reduced vowels, unstressed vowels, are largely unconcerned with height or loudness. That is, the jaw, which is to a large extent controls vowels' height, tends to be relaxed when pronouncing reduced vowels. The primary distinction in words like folio is again one of backness. However, the backness distinction is not as great as that of full vowels. Reduced vowels are also centralized and are sometimes referred to by that term. They may also be called obscure, as there is no one-to-one correspondence between full and reduced vowels. Sound duration is a common factor in the reduction. In fact, speech vowels are reduced due to physical limitations of the articulatory organs. For example, the tongue cannot move to a prototypical position fast or completely enough to produce a full quality vowel. Now, such vowel reduction is one of the sources of distinction between a spoken language and its written counterpart. Vernacular and formal speech often has different levels of vowel reduction, and so the term vowel reduction is also applied to differences in a language variety which respects to, for example, the language standard. Vowel reduction in English. In English, vowel reduction is the centralization and weakening of an unstressed vowel, such as the characteristic change of many vowels at the end of words to schwa sound. Stressed vowels are never reduced in English. Now, reduced vowels, for example, schwa sound, have different varieties. Vowel reduction in phonemic English, that is, there are two tiers of vowels in English, full and reduced. Traditionally, many English dictionaries have attempted to make the distinction by transcribing unstressed full vowels as having secondary weak stress, though recently this has been abandoned in dictionaries such as the Oxford English Dictionary. English has up to 5 reduced vowels, though the varieties with dialect speakers. Schwa is the most common, and orthographically it may be denoted by any of the vowel letter. Let us give some examples. The E in about, the E in synthesis, the O in harmony, the U in medium. So the following are also schwas, except in dialects that have 2 distinct reduced vowels, the E in decimal and the Y in syringe. Whereas the sound represented by the ER in water is a schwa non-rhotic accent. like received pronunciation. But in rhotic dialects, like most of North American English, ER designates an R-colored schwa, which is pronounced like schwa, except the tongue is pulled back in the mouth and bunched up. Water, water. Now, reduced front vowel, E-colored schwa or shwi. It is one of the varieties of reduced vowels. In some dialects of English, there is a distinction between two vowel heights of reduced vowels, schwa and shwi. The near close central unrounded vowel E or E. In the British phonetic transition, this is written E, and the American transition, it's E. The Oxford English Dictionary has recently converted both of them, an example of a minimal pair contrasting schwa and shwi. The E in roses is shwi, and the E in rosa is a schwa. Now, what are reductions in English language that are found nowadays? Linguistic reductions are lost sounds and words. This happens in spoken English mostly. For example, going to changes to gonna. The most widely known reductions are contradictions and contractions. Most contractions are reductions of not. For example, cannot becomes can't. Many contractions are reductions between a subject and a verb. For example, he is becomes his. I am becomes I'm. Some reductions are well known. For example, wanna, gonna. But the reduction of a verb and to is used in spoken English. Going to becomes gonna, want to becoming wanna. Have to, have to. Linguistic reductions are part of natural English. They are not slang or improper. This means that everyone uses these forms: wanna, gonna, oughta, have to, has to, hadda. Words like this, going to, have to, has to, ought to, are often said in utterances. They are so often pronounced in everyday speech that speakers tend to reduce them into the following forms. For example, in written utterances, it's want to. In spoken, wanna. Going to turns into gonna. Ought to becomes oughter. Has to, has to. Had to, hadda. These forms are demotic forms widely used in spoken English. So reduction is a natural process of vowel change in connected English speech. But the degree of reduction is different. Mostly it is determined by the style or manner of articulation. Thus, formal speech tends to be clear and distinct, avoiding abundant reductions, whereas colloquial pronunciation is full of unnecessary reductions as a result of fast tempo of natural communication.